Hey, you. Yeah, you. When you were younger, did you ever have a dream that you wanted to rule your own country? Becoming the supreme overlord leader, giving it a cool name, and making laws that would both be pointless and incredibly unpractical in real politics? Well, let's talk about micronations. Micronations, no relation to microstates, are micronations that have absolutely zero recognition in the political world. Sure, they can be recognised in pop culture, with popular examples being Sealand and Molossia, but as far as international recognition goes, that's all they get. A micronation can be made for many reasons, a few of those being because it's funny, or because the founders of said micronation are sick of their previous country's government shit and decide to protest against them by proclaiming a piece of land that has seceded from the state as a brand new nation, to which the government and the rest of the world responds by simply not acknowledging them. Even you at home can declare your very own micronation, giving it a badass sounding name and using it as an excuse to not pay taxes. And for absolutely no reason or correlation to what happens in June, this topic will be about the Gay and Lesbian Kingdom of the Coral Sea Islands. A mouthful of a name, I know. The Gay and Lesbian Kingdom of the Coral Sea Islands is exactly what it says on the tin. It was a kingdom that was situated around the Coral Sea Islands off the coast of northeast Queensland in northeast Australia, for lesbians and gays. Now, why the kingdom's only representing the LG and not the BT will be explained later. The humble beginnings of the Gay and Lesbian Kingdom started out as, well, nothing really. It was only come around when the time was right, but during 2003, two big things were going down in Australia: pride parades and talks about law amending, more specifically, the marriage law. Since the idea of treating the gay folk of society as incomprehensible monsters is slowly being toned down, in the Western world at least, Australia was looking to prevent those rights of the Western gays when travelling to Australia, whereby any gay couple married over there comes over here won't be classed as a married couple, no matter how many marriage certificates they could throw at them. The declaration of a marriage being applicable as only Adam and Eve, and not Adam and Steve or Amy and Eve, was a true blue Aussie fuck you to the activists, and they were furious. Believing this potential change is a massive blow to one of the many basic human equality rights for them, they looked for all possibilities to protest. Some ideas were to go for the classic approach to protest, holding signs and chant about changing a law outside the parliament, while one idea that floated around was to claim a part of Australia as compensation for this unjust change inflicted against them. And that's what they did. But where to exactly, they wondered. They wanted somewhere that was far away from both civilization and the government, so secluded enough that they could not have their political protests interfered with by the two. And they knew just the place: the Australian outback.
What?
No. Okay, how about we squat on those Coral Sea Islands off the Australian coast? Yeah, let's do it. And so it was agreed. The activists made their way to the uninhabited islands so no one could bother them or their attempts at protest, planted their flag, which was just the gay pride flag, and on the 14th of June 2004, a new nation was born: the Gay and Lesbian Kingdom of the Coral Sea Islands, with the leader of the bunch, Dale Anderson, ascending the role of King of the Kingdom, before ascending the better sounding Emperor of the Kingdom, being dubbed the fruitiest of them all. Straight away they got to work, building up this newly formed nation to show the world that they were serious. They had a capital, which I'm certain resembles the aftermath of a music festival, a national anthem, currency, and all the other things that you do to set up a country to make it legit. But the best part of it all, they made stamps, 9 variations of something that represents the kingdom in some way. I just know stamp collectors out there would kill to have one of these. The kingdom had sanctioned many economic-based activities, only allowing the big three: tourism, fishing, and, you guessed it, all things stamp-related. In terms of international relations, no one chose to recognise the kingdom to be legitimate, and they still saw them as part of Australia. In the upcoming weeks and months for this law going through the rigmarole of the Australian Parliament, the law had finally passed through around mid-August of 2004, solidifying what the activists had feared. In retaliation of such backward thinking, and to try and get a little more attention from the world, more notably Australia themselves, the kingdom declared war against them for the right of same-sex marriage to fully cement this protest. Did Australia bother to retaliate in any way? Of course not, because they couldn't care. A sense of irony was rocked them in 2010 when the Emperor of the Kingdom got invited to meet with other micronations around the world to discuss on ways they can get themselves some international recognition in a meeting that was based in, of all places, Sydney. The Emperor didn't bother to show up to this meeting and was left insulted by the invitation, as his kingdom was called a Micronation by the other Micronations. He does have a good point, to be fair. In fact, the whole Coral Sea Islands territory covers just over 300,000 square miles. It's just that 99% of that territory is made up of water. The kingdom had lived from 2004 all the way to 2017, dealing with the struggles of getting themselves some recognition, fighting a war, and getting their point across to the Aussies that gay marriage is okay. While they were doing all that, the actual owners of the Coral Sea Islands were trying to push for legalising same-sex marriage during this whole time the Micronation existed, having 23 attempts to push for this marriage law amendment, failing the first 22 times, before the government finally scored big on the votes. Did this Micronation have anything to do with it? Perhaps some meddling with the votes? Who knows? But it'd be fun to theorise that. When news got around to the activists that their long-awaited goal was finally completed, the kingdom dissolved and rejoined Australia on the 17th of November 2017, 3 weeks before same-sex marriage was officially legal in Australia. If only someone were to give them a little more recognition. But anyway, that's all for today. Catch y'all soon, and thanks for watching.